you. Come on, sit down. You're sitting at the grown-ups table. I'm your host, Jesse Pimpinella. And my partner in crime, John Jacobs, is not on tonight right now. He was on a super secret mission doing many excellent things. We don't know what he's doing. He could be doing. He's like, he like, when he disappears, he's on missions. He's like James Bond. He's like Indiana Jones when Brody comes in and be like, we need you to find something. And then he disappears and then class is canceled. But I'm the substitute teacher. And this is my dog, Sydney. Sydney, say hi, everyone. All right. She's going to be on my lap for the remainder of the show. Today, we're going to be talking about X97, everyone. X-Men 97. I'm so excited to be talking about this. This show is definitely from the childhood, obviously from the 90s. I'm a 90s kid, so.
You never watched it.
Yes, I did. All right. I watched Spider-Man. I watched Fantastic Four. I watched all of it. My God, my wife is so just there. She is. All right. Anyways, that's the reason why you weren't on the show. Anyways, I'm excited to bring on two guests of the show. One's a first timer. One is a frequent flyer guy. So let's bring them on to the show so we can get right down to it and talk about X-Men 97. I'd like to bring on Darth and comedian Wonder Doug, our first timer here. How you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Very excited to be talking about this show. Now, let me ask you a couple questions regarding this show, just to kind of give it. What were your initial thoughts when you heard that MCU was going to pick up the storyline from X-Men 90s in the 97? What were your guys' initial thoughts?
Please, God, don't fuck it up. Watching it as a kid, I remember just being enthralled by it, seeing all what cameo is going to show up this week. I remember they did a couple primetime episodes because it was a big, season premiere, and they did, primetime episodes, and it was just great. And then as long as they didn't fuck it up, I was completely and totally happy. I had to go back and rewatch the last season because I don't remember exactly what happened. I was pleasantly surprised, though.
Doug, how about you?
I was really nervous. It's a huge nostalgia thing for me as well. Like growing up, like I was 12 in 92 and I just started reading comics. So it was very exciting to see him on the screen. And definitely was that kid that had the Pizza Hut VHS, like special, like
I still have mine.
Yep.
Oh, damn. Yeah. No, there definitely there's something nostalgic about it. I mean, like, because I remember growing up, I used to watch, this was on a lot of this, like Fox Family. Remember when they used to play reruns of this, Spider-Man, or Fox Box one time back in the day. They used to have like a whole row of these shows, and it was so much fun to watch it because a lot of these episodes, just like with the Spider-Man Fantastic Four, they would be like part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you were almost getting like a movie in itself. You were getting a long serialized movie drama. And this was like our stories. This was like our soap operas. You know what I mean? Like grandparents had days of their lives, and like this was us. This is where we were sitting. But yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised with this show. I thought I was very excited. Now, where do you guys hold a special place for the X-Men in your heart? We'll start with you, Darth, because Doug, I know you got you. There is definitely a special place for you with this, and I want to talk about that. So, Darth.
They're my favorite Marvel characters.
What makes them your favorite? Like, what separates these guys from, say, Captain America and Iron Man? From the obvious standpoint, they're mutants, but what separates?
To be honest, it was this cartoon.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, this cartoon. Growing up, my brother had Iron Man comics. He was a huge Batman fan. I started reading Superman and Green Lantern and all that fun stuff at the beginning. Didn't really care about Marvel, and then X-Men 97 or X-Men the animated series came out, and I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And then, the whole Jim Lee story arc and just the artwork was just phenomenal. And then just my love of the X-Men grew.
Yeah. Doug, how about you? Like I said, I know I hinted off air, but I'll let you know. You have an extensive collection.
Yeah, I have over 10,000 books, which like if a trade has 30 in it, I count it as 30. But But a lot of it was eBay back in the day. Me and my ex a couple of decades ago, like would buy like issues 1 through 50 for a certain amount of money. So I have a lot of comics, and most of them are Avengers and X-Men. I had my appendix out in the 6th grade, and it ruptured, and my mom got me an X-Men comic and an Avengers comic from the gift shop, and I've just been hooked ever since.
Shit, man. What made you stay this hooked for this long? I mean, to house 10,000 books, that's not something that you would say is casual. I mean, that's a definite hardcore love and passion. Like, why do you feel that it's still around to this day?
Like you were saying, there's the soap operas. I've always said they're soap operas with superpowers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, read them for over 30 years now. Like, it's the most consistent thing in my life is the X-Men. So, like, people come and go, what have you. Like, there's a new issue of X-Men every month, multiple, but yeah.
And just like the X-Men, they come and go, but they keep coming back.
They do. Right. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's the. Let's get right into it, man. This show, like, because I know when we start talking about some spoilers, and just so you know, people are watching the show or watching the rerun on YouTube later on, there will be spoilers for this episode. So if you have not seen the TV series, please stop here, come back later, watch this magnificent 10-episode run, which already has a season 2. Pretty much, it's a season 2. It's all written. I know that. I know they're in pre-production for the 3rd season already. Mm-hmm. So I know this is. So if that right there will tell you the heavy weight of this show. But yeah, so one of the biggest reactions, this show came out right in the beginning in the first episode, was, after they go on their mission, they do everything. They find out that Xavier has left Magneto, the X-Men. What were your guys' initial thoughts with that in particular? Because that was not just like a simple storyline they were built. It came fast, it came hard, and even the X-Men were shocked. What were your guys' initial thoughts on that?
I'll let you go, Doug.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I wasn't super surprised. In the 80s, they kind of started trickling Magneto in as a hero, and he was like leading New Mutants. So like, it wasn't a shock to me. It was. I mean, I'm happy they went that direction with the show and started fleshing out the character more. But yeah, it wasn't a super shock as episode 5 was.
And we will talk about that. But yeah, Magneto has always been a very profound character. I think beyond being a literary like, I think of him as a literary character, not just a comic book character. Like, people talk about, Dr. Jekyll's Mr. Hyde, Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Like, this guy, in my opinion, is a character that will stand the sands of time because, I mean, he's very profound, and he has an origin story that is beyond. It's very real. It's very real. Like, what are your guys' initial thoughts with Magneto? Because this show, I felt the season was anchored a lot around him. It was really Magneto's kind of season, in my opinion.
Well, it's Magneto, and then the 2 people pictured down below.
The most awkwardest love triangle ever. I love the one scene where they're like, "Oh yeah, they have the danger room rented out for the whole afternoon." We're like, "Whoa, really?" that was a very awkward scene for Gambit. I feel bad for him. But yeah, but what do you feel? What like? Let's talk about like what do you feel draws people to Magneto's character? Because he's not he's not a conventional villain.
No, he's definitely not a conventional villain. It's weird because I'm rereading all the X-Men from the beginning, and it's like in the 60s he was very like just crazy and power hungry.
Yeah.
When Chris Claremont came on and when he introduced the newer X-Men, he kind of started fleshing out Magneto's backstory, making him the Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
Adding children, like he, fleshed him out a lot more, and that's one of the things too is like. Such a powerful thing is like when you have a villain or anti-hero, and then you definitely can see that they're right, and you can see that, what I'm saying, you can relate to them. You're not supposed to relate to the villains, I guess.
Yeah, right. But he's literally a survivor who was right about his motives. Like, I mean, because like they could say all they want, like, hey, we'll never round up mutants. Hey, we're never going to put you guys in camps. Hey, we're never going to do all this to you. But then you're talking to somebody who is a Holocaust survivor, who he was a part of he was a part of a country with a government that said, hey, this is not going to happen, and it happened. So it's like, it's really hard for it, and it's tragic because he's coming from an aspect where, you know, because Magneto, like, I think one of the great things about the season is how much we wanted him to flip over all the way good. Yeah, I mean, and I say good with quotations because he was kind of right in the end. He wasn't wrong. I mean, what the thing that they said was going to happen, he was right again. That's I think one of the curses of Magneto is that he is constantly right, and I think that's the tragedy of Magneto, in my opinion, as a character.
Yeah, definitely. He took a more physical approach to Xavier's dream.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he is just most of the time. You were saying he's right, but I never wanted him to go full good. I wanted him to and still just be just a powerful badass that he knows what's right and he's going to force it down your throat.
Well, let's talk about the difference between Xavier and Magneto in this case. I mean, they both come from different backgrounds heavily. I mean, I would say Xavier comes from a very much more privileged background where he had a much better experience. And, you know, sometimes I feel bad where he's like, come on, Eric, it's not that bad. It's like,
right.
Like, use that power where you can relate to somebody real quickly. Because I think you're just kind of brushing it over, but it's a very interesting thing with that. But do you like, what are your thoughts on Xavier? Do you feel that sometimes that his character becomes a little bit too naive? Do you feel that he still is or he's just very optimistic? Like, where does the line draw between optimism and naive?
I think despite all the good he's done in the world, Xavier is still like a rich kid with a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was very privileged. He had a mansion growing up. Yeah. His stepbrother, you know, that's a different story. But I mean, and he was also physically passing mutant, coming from wealth. He's done a lot of great things, but it's like, you know, Xavier lives in dreams and Magneto lives in reality and action and not just hope. Like, which is hope is a great thing to have, but you can't stay alive on hope alone, kind of a thing.
No, because like Xavier is basically, if I had to compare him to one point of Magneto's life, it would be when Magneto was a kid, before the actual extermination happened for the Holocaust. You know what I mean? Like, oh, maybe it might not happen, maybe it not happen. And I think Magneto sometimes sees Professor X with that same attitude that he had as a kid, like, oh, it might not happen. But it's like, you know, Magneto is kind of like this guy from the future, kind of going like, oh no, it has, and it will. And I went through the whole entire cycle of this. You know what I mean? Like, I think one of my favorite Magneto moments, it's not from this show, it's Ian McKellen had it in the not so great X-Men 3, where they ask him like, hey, where's your mutant mark? And he rolls up his sleeve and shows his numbers, and he's like, I have a mark, and no other needle would touch me ever again. And I just thought like that was a very profound moment in understanding Magneto's character and who he is. Like, he's not a guy who wants a war. He feels like he is physically pushed into this because he is living. He is, like I said, not living in a dreamland like Xavier is. So therefore, this is the world we're given, this cruel, unusual world, and now we have to either adapt and survive or die trying. And Magneto, he makes those hard cut decisions sometimes. Now, like with this show, man, it had a lot of great moments. Like, what were some of your guys' favorite moments from this show? Like some moments where you were just like, yes, the 90s back, X-Men are back, here we go.
One word: Cyclops.
Dude. I love that they made Cyclops cool again.
Yes. Him pulling the Captain America, just jumping out of the airplane.
and then doing the thing where it slows his descent. Brilliant. Absolutely just a gorgeous scene. Because unfortunately, Cyclops in the movies, he's been the man in the middle between him and between Jean and Wolverine. Like, he's just kind of like, he's basically the pool guy in a porno Wolverine's the pool man, and Cyclops is the husband that leaves. Or, that's what it always felt like in those movies. I never felt like, but I feel bad because there's just poor writing. I mean, we could talk about Storm, the poor writing with Storm and all that stuff, and how very shallow. Because my wife, we referred to those movies as Wolverine and the Funky Bunch. Because it's just like
pretty much that's all they wanted to do is let's make a Wolverine story.
The most honest thing they ever did was they had a cartoon that was literally called Wolverine and the X-Men, and I was like, oh, there's the honesty there. That's what they wanted. But yeah. But what was your guys' impact moment of seeing Cyclops in action, especially in that opening scene? They really gave him that opening scene to really win back people or win people who've never been won before with Cyclops. What were you guys' thoughts with those opening scenes?
Just in awe. It was just watching it, just my jaw hit the floor going about fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just seeing them use the beams properly. They don't explode. They're concussion blasts. They're not heats. It's just a blast of energy. So seeing that was just great. Him basically dancing around and just beating the shit out of everybody.
I loved when he used it to dodge people. Like, he was hitting it against the ground so he would slide back. Yep. He would do that Michael Jackson moonwalk back, and I'm like, oh man. Like, they made him really slick as fuck in this, and I really liked it. What was it? That was, like I said, they did such a good job with bringing that character to its full potential. Now, I hope that with this being an MCU project, I hope that when they do the live action, they take this. Yeah, I mean, like, they go in this direction. Like, I know they've been making hints that James Marsden might come back as Cyclops in future movies. Honestly, recast. Just let this.
No.
What?
I like.
How are you guys feel about James? Recast.
James Marsden is old.
Yeah, that's true. How do you feel, Doug?
I think it should be just a recast altogether.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, no, you can't. They're not going to recast Hugh Jackman. No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
There's a bunch.
Fucking stupid.
No, it's not. Anyways, but point is, like, I wouldn't mind if they recasted that, just because. I mean, I do. I'm not gonna lie. I love the silly, dynamic in the X-Men movies where I just felt like he was just gonna fucking cuck Cyclops in the next scene. Just literally, like, even when Days of Future Past, when he's about to kiss Jean at the very end, and then Cyclops like, whoa, back off. And I was like, and then part of me was like, excuse me, you're interrupting them. You know what I mean? But now I do want to see, like, Cyclops be kind of a badass. I want them to really focus on the characters. That's something I hope that they really do continue to do. We got a couple of comments. So William, yeah, we're talking about specifically the 97, but the comics are in play really because oh wait, I think he's asking you this question, Doug. Do you exclusively have X-Men comics, or do you have any offshoots?
I have all the X-Men stuff, anything X-Men related. I don't have as many issues of Wolverine because I kind of got tired of him, but all the team books, New Mutants, Alpha Flight, X-Force, like any of them, Generation X.
Damn, man, that's awesome. What is there any story like? Is there like any rare storylines that you have that you could just flex? Anything you could brag? Like, what's a major one that you could just wow us with right now?
I'll just show you all real fast. I'll just show you real fast the collection, and then
bring it, man.
I don't care about like the value or reading and stuff like that, but hold on.
No, you're obviously a guy that does it for the love of the game. I mean, you love these comics. I'm very much like that with like my Batman comics and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the question is, what's your favorite X-Men story?
I am a big sucker for the New Mutants, the original New Mutants.
Yeah.
I loved the early days of them. So this is my X-Men shelf behind me.
Oh my lord, Doug.
This is on top, and then it carries over. There's more to where the current X-Men here, but yeah, behind me is the Avengers through Green Lantern, and then another one. So yeah,
Damn.
it's a lot.
Doug, your house is held together by comics. I swear to God.
Yes,
It's a low-bearing wall you just showed us.
No one helps me move twice.
Dude, I understand now. Now I will always, if you ever ask me to move, Doug, I'm gonna be very concerned. I'm like, I don't know, Doug. I got a thing, man.
Doug, I'm busy that day.
I'm busy that day.
You haven't told me what day it is, but I'm busy.
I'm busy all of 2024 and all of 2025. 2026, sorry about that, man. I'm too busy for that. We got another comment from Mr. Idiot, anti-idiotic. I really, really want Kitty Pryde to be Tom Holland's Spidey girlfriend in the MCU. Well, I know they're probably looking for opportunities when they do the live action to have them mingle and everything. Darth, what do you think about that?
I liked that idea. I liked that story arc where they did have Kitty just be Pete's girlfriend.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting take. Especially if they can't get Zendaya back.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if they just completely and totally write her off and have her in the background.
I don't think they're. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think right now there's just so much they can do with the Spider-Man things just because of the whole situation. So pretty much this new trilogy is going to kind of be like almost a fresh slate with Spider-Man. So they can bring in the X-Men and do kind of the storyline they did with Spider-Man. It might be a little over the top. I remember the old animated series when Spider-Man grew the extra arms and all that stuff because mutation was kicking in. I don't think they'll go that route, but they can find a reason for them to all join together. But one of the biggest things, Cyclops is cool. What were some other moments in this series that just made you go, fuck yeah? What were some of the things that just made you go, this is what we've been talking about?
I think the big elephant in the room that we're all just kind of pussyfooting around is Genosha.
Yeah. I have it as this, so we have to talk about it. Genosha, man, that was a crazy. I didn't think we were going to see it in this season. I didn't think we were. I thought like that might be like a back burner. Let's save it for season 2 because they were always talking about season 2. I'm like, all right, they're going to set Genosha up now, but like Genosha got like what, one episode right there?
Not it wasn't even a full episode.
Not even a full episode. And like,
but if you go back and go through New X-Men, the Grant Morrison run, that version of Genosha also only lasted an issue.
Yeah.
So it's always destined to be blown up and destroyed and just decimated.
Yeah, no. But man, that was I think one of the things that made this episode so impactful is the artwork as well. Like the art in this was upgraded, obviously. It had very much like an anime style. So it made everything feel very visceral. The violence, the action, when they're running. It was an incredible feat. But I think the last scene in this episode, man, Gambit going, man. That was, I remember when Twitter exploded.
I think also the big thing here was it was more emotional because of the love triangle that was going on. So not only did you have the emotions of, what's going on between these three, Gambit or Rogue is just playing both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, hey, everyone died.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you have to deal with all the death of all those mutants because you got to introduce and see a lot of people in the background that you're like, oh, hey, look, there's Pixie. Oh, hey, look, there's Dazzler. There's all these characters that I love. And I'm sure, Doug, you were probably super pumped to see all the fun cameos. And then just have them all just wiped off the face of the planet without any kind of introduction to them. You saw them and you're like, oh, hey, look, there's my favorite character. Dazzler's my favorite X-Men character. And she just got annihilated.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh,
Well, I thought she survived in the end. I thought she hard.
I don't remember. I saw it once, and
I thought she
didn't want to watch it again.
survived. Didn't Dazzler survive?
Yeah, she hardened.
Yeah, she hardened. Yeah.
No, that's Emma Frost.
Oh shit.
That's the White Queen.
God, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah. One thing that was like really shocking with this is like a lot of it are like combined storylines that they've taken from this and this and different eras of different writers. Like you saying, the Genosha one was the Grant Morrison thing, but it wasn't Bastion. It was Cassandra. Anyway,
Cassandra Nova.
One thing that was like so messed up is like that didn't happen with Gambit in the comics. Everyone's kind of died and stuff like that, but that was a very different so it was shocking to like long-term fans because people were like, what the fuck? It's not really based off any source material. But the interesting thing is, though, the one of the creators who ended up leaving the series, but Bo DeMeo, he ended up saying like 9/11 was really important to him, and he came out as gay right after that, and then he actually partied at the Pulse nightclub.
Yeah.
So you definitely kind of feel that stuff, when you're watching episode 5. It's kind of but also in a weird, fucked up way. It's it was shocking, but it wasn't that shocking that those things happen, kind of a thing.
No, definitely. It's definitely not. And the X-Men, in general, they've always been good at kind of tiptoeing in between the realism of our world versus, the fantasy of their world. And sometimes it makes it even harder. You know what I mean? And
right.
They use a lot of metaphors to pretty much point things out. The X-Men comic books have always been, in my opinion, sometimes a mirror that Stan Lee held up to society a little bit and showing some of our greatest and not so greatest moments.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, tragedies like those were definitely reflected in these moments, and how, and also it's kind of interesting, how quickly, the world came for mutants, oh, we're here for you. But then you see within maybe 4, 5, 6 episodes how public opinion turned very fast. You know what I mean? But so it also shows a realism world of this isn't the tragedy that's happening right now, and they moved on, and it's kind of depressing. It's kind of this show does have a very honest tone to it, and I think it feels more adult than the previous show. So it's kind of cool because this show kind of aged with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't play to getting new kids in. It was definitely, I think it definitely was for us who watched it growing up. It was very adult.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because even when they were having the moment where Magneto was being charged for his crimes and he was on court, somebody yelled out the phrase insurrection. An insurrection was happening. I mean, and just there was that moment right there, and there's little things like that, just kind of talking about these. I mean, while this is a comic about mutants and superheroes, there's a very sobering moment when you realize that something is a bit more stranger than fiction here, and it's reflecting something in reality. But definitely, but the Gambit goes. He had probably one of the best last lines you can have.
Oh yeah,
remember it. Boom.
He went out on top.
He went out on top. Literally, that was a really rough moment. And then I love the whole Rogue wearing that jacket, the whole rest of the thing, and just kind of honoring him. It was fantastic. That was I would say that was one of their top tier episodes this season.
Yeah.
To the point where it's hard to watch. Now knowing that this Genosha episode is the Genosha episode, it's yeah.
Right. I would have liked to have had it be the season finale.
I think we're going to go back to Genosha. I mean, specifically because of the way the show ended, post-credit scene and all that stuff. I think we will get to see it prior to this show, because I look at it like this. This show takes place 1 year after the original series. So there's still a lot of 1 year gap time. We might see it in flashbacks. We might see the comings and goings, of certain characters. But also, we also know that this might not be the last time we see Gambit for sure, because if they're doing the Apocalypse storyline, and if they want to stay close to that storyline, if I remember correctly, Gambit is one of the Four Horsemen. Am I correct by saying that?
He becomes one of the Four Horsemen, yes.
Yeah. And they had a moment where Apocalypse does pick up his playing card, does he not? Like, so that, like, stuff like that, like, I was like trying to like with animation, what's so interesting is somebody has to draw that. Someone has to put a lot of effort into making it look good, look real. So even those like quick little 2-second, 3-second moments, for me, I'm like, that's a whole day for somebody to do that sequence. So they really need to mean something if they're doing that. But yeah, I definitely. Do you guys feel that the next season will pick up and heavily be an Apocalypse season, or do you feel they might devote maybe a few episodes to that and then?
I think they're going
to bigger.
I think they're going to split their time in 3 different places.
Okay,
past, present, future.
Where?
I think past, present, and future.
Oh yes, of course, yes. Because
you've got the X-Men stuck in the past. I'm sure they're probably going to try to stop Apocalypse from becoming Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Then you've got.
Do you think it'll be kind of like the whole "if you can kill baby Hitler" metaphor? I mean, in this case, like if we can make Apocalypse good and not evil,
right?
Yeah, that might be. I definitely can see them doing that.
And then you've got the present X-Men, or you got Forge trying to reform a team of X-Men to help mutant kind, considering their whole home just got annihilated. So there's still a lot of mutants out there that don't know what's going on, and they're going to need help. So I think that's what we're going to see with the present X-Men. And then we'll probably see a lot of Scott Summers and Jean Grey helping raise Cable.
Yeah. Which, by the way, what an amazing scene they had. That whole little Summers family hangout, man, when they were driving that convertible and all that stuff. That was like the coolest little family moment. And then it builds up to a Phoenix's return. Like that was freaking dope as hell. I really enjoyed that moment. But like I said, little things like that and building the show up. Like when they realize, like the son's like, "Oh, this is Nathan." You're like, "Oh, it's Cable." Yeah, I mean, like this show did a really good job taking numerous storylines and kind of creating them into this kind of like 10-season show. Because I mean,
with that moment, did you get that Leonardo DiCaprio moment where you're like, oh,
yeah. I was like, oh, it's Nathan. That's Nathan. As soon as he said Nathan, I was like, that's Nathan. I mean, we should have had that moment when we found out she was later on when she's a clone for sure. Which, by the way, like that was like crazy how they got that in there. But this season they did a really good. This was like a great example of taking these storylines and slowly kind of trying to build it into something that was cohesive. Like, and it didn't feel like they were just shoving things in there, which a lot of times that happens with comic book movies.
I think there was one story that they could have postponed.
What? Which one?
That was the Storm. The 2-part Storm.
I like that. I actually liked it.
Loved that. But I think her being depowered in the present, looking for other X-Men or other mutants to form a new X-Men, I think her being depowered is a much more powerful story and makes Storm a more powerful character, saying, I don't have powers, but I still care about the mutant race and mutant protection, and then somehow get her powers back throughout the season.
Yeah.
I think that would have been so much more powerful for the character.
When you frame it like that, yeah, no, that's interesting. Doug, what are your thoughts?
I wish they would have kept the Storm thing a little longer. When it happened in the comics, it lasted a little longer, and it gave her such a defining badassery because that's when she got the Mohawk. And there was a time, I think it was issue 201, I'm being that dork, but she fought Cyclops for leadership of the X-Men and won without powers. Like she beat Cyclops without her powers for leadership of the X-Men. Like, so we didn't get to see that level of Storm. Wow. And she was just badass. She had knives. She was pretty rough. But like you didn't get to see that character growth much, and it was pretty much straight to Forge. And I don't know. That like kind of was like the guy ends up saving her. Like, and then she ended up coming around herself, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just,
Could've went a
and
little
to me,
longer.
it just seemed shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I see what you're saying. Yeah, if they would have let that be its own plot line rather than, hey, let's just give Storm something to do. Because that does, based on what you guys are saying, that sounds like a very profound storyline that we definitely want to see and grow in with her character. Actually, I got someone who's joining in right now. It's another friend of the show. It's Caged Bishop. What's up? How you doing, man? Oh, looks like he's frozen.
Maybe.
Oh, I think he's stuck. Okay.
Is he in a coal mine? Up there he is.
Oh, no, there he is. Hey, can you hear us? Oh, he's frozen again. We're looking at the fan in the background. That's how we know.
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Yeah, we can now. How you doing, dude?
Jesse's just deaf.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
We were
Just
just
getting
talking-
home.
We were just talking about Storm's arc. We were just talking about that. We're talking, and
good.
Doug was letting us know that there was an incredible storyline where she pretty much just kicks the shit out of Cyclops for leadership, essentially.
Yep.
Which I would have loved to see that, her powerless with knives and stuff like that. Are you familiar with that issue?
I read that a very, very long time ago. But yeah, Storm has always been, and this is why getting what we got for her in X-Men 97 was that am I gone again?
I think you're cutting out again. I think you're sorry about that. So yeah, check your Wi-Fi. I think, but yeah, no, definitely Storm. Her character in this arc was fantastic. But I do agree with Darth that it was shoehorned. That would have been very interesting because now with the X-Men broken up pretty much this last season, if she was in present day without her powers, seeking everybody else up to form another X-Men, that would have been interesting. I see how you were talking about that because we still don't know where Wolverine and Morph ended up at the end of the episode. Any predictions for where they might be?
Let's see here. San Francisco in the late 60s.
Okay. I don't know. That could be, hey, any guess is good. I mean, it's Wolverine, and he could be anywhere. You know what I mean? But I thought that was an interesting clue, maybe to, like one of those clues where it's like the omission of something may reveal something. But even he had kind of a rough series finale or season finale because in the penultimate episode he lost his animanium.
And that was pretty much when they were ripping it out. It was exactly panel for panel of the comic book.
That was an intense moment. Like, where do you think Wolverine goes from this point? Where did he go in the comic books?
Savage.
I've been wanting to read that issue because I heard he pretty much goes feral. It's like a self-discovery thing where because I think at the time they still play with his amnesia, so he didn't know he had bone under.
Right. One of my favorite pages of it was when he popped the bone claws for the first time when he's talking with Jubilee.
Mm-hmm.
And he pops them and he's just like, I don't know what these are. I don't know how I got them. Because he always thought that the claws were an addition to his Weapon X programming and upgrades. So just him having them, just great.
Yeah. I think the one interesting thing was when for as dangerous as Logan is, and I understand why Magneto did it, but if I was Magneto, maybe this would just be, I would just let him keep that skeleton. It's a good way to track where he is at all times. Like, they can get out of him now. He's more, in my opinion, he's more dangerous. It's like that scene from Dogma where Jay shoots Ben Affleck's angel wings out, and they're like, "You idiot! You helped him. Now he's human. You can kill him. Like you did him a favor." Like, that's what my fear was. I was like, "Oh wow!" But I heard he basically takes that. I haven't read this, but someone told me he takes that and makes it into his own suit. Is that true, Doug?
Wolverine or Magneto?
Magneto. He takes the metal and makes it into a suit.
That doesn't sound familiar, but it's also could have been. There's
It
been
could
a
have
lot of
been.
storylines. Yeah.
It might have been just people discussing it online. Everybody's been trying to wonder. You know how it is. If we're getting rid of it, where is it going to go? Where is it going to be? Is it going to be used for something? Stuff like that. So it's a lot of speculation and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, that was a pretty cool moment from the show. It was very intense. I think, speaking of Wolverine, I think one of his best moments was him and Nightcrawler when they were going up the Prime Sentinels. I thought that was incredible.
Yes.
Right before Magneto brings it back to the Dark Ages, like watching Nightcrawler with the katana and like him and Wolverine, just like you forget like just how fucking badass Nightcrawler is. Like he's like this because he's like a really nice and humble. He doesn't have that same like rough edge as Wolverine, but man, the guy can throw down just as.
Yeah. He's probably more dangerous than Wolverine.
Oh no, he is. I'm talking about just the temperament.
Yeah, but I'm just saying is people underestimate how badass Nightcrawler can be.
Yeah.
And even in the movies like X2, that first scene when he's just teleporting in the White House, you're just like,
that is still one of the most awesome scenes of all time, and it's so crazy that was done in 2003, and it looked that good.
Right.
Like, still blows my mind. But like, I just loved. It's like the first time you see Wolverine in this show, he's up to badassery. First time you see Kurt, he's in his collar. He has the priest collar. Like he's just completely just, hey, I'm cool and all this stuff. And then you see him bring out the sword and he goes, my count is 9. And I'm like, whoa. He just like, which by the way, thank God a lot of these things were robots, because then we can see them like really cut the shit out of people, which was just pretty awesome.
Well, getting a little off topic, that's why they made the Foot Clan in the cartoon robots.
Yes.
For the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So you can see them just.
And that's another reason why, because of the weapons in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. If you watch the second one, they barely used their weapons ever, because there was such a complaint about the first movie. So had they had the robots, maybe it would have been much easier. But like, if you watch Leonardo just like shiv a 19-year-old, it would have been that would have been a rough movie to watch.
I'm sorry, Danny. Whoops.
Right. Sorry. So yeah, no. Yeah, so like that's why it's like sometimes you forget, you're like, why is everything robots? That's why it's robots. That makes sense. Needs to be robots, because like you can't have too much violence on a show. Not because like back then in the 90s, I know they had a lot of animated shows had a lot of crazy rules for violence and like what you can or can't do and stuff like that. So
no bullets, all laser guns.
Yeah, it's all laser guns. Can't be bullets. They would hint at drugs but never ever show it. Or if they did show it, there was like some special episode. It was just crazy. But like nowadays, with everything streaming, I mean, hats are off. You can do whatever you want. Like this show, I felt like was just, they were like, okay, you guys have grown up. This isn't the 90s. It takes place in the 90s. But we're going to do this as, PG-13, as close to R as possible. We got Cage Bishop back in here. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Is it working now?
We're good. We are good, man.
All right, good.
We were just
I had to change
about
rooms.
We were just talking about Nightcrawler and Wolverine scene with the Prime Sentinels, man.
That was one of the dopest fights, and it probably rivals that Nightcrawler entrance in X-Men 2.
We were just talking about that, yeah.
Yeah. Just like seeing Logan get pulled through the Banff and looking confused as hell, man. It was so cool. I loved it.
Yeah, that's another thing I felt like with this show is all the fights felt very choreographed. Like we weren't just getting like punch, bam, boom, bow. It was like I felt like they actually probably got real choreographers to choreograph the fights, and they're like, okay, animate this, because nothing ever felt. All the fights felt like very just real on their own. Like they never felt.
They were way over the top.
They were way over the top,
which is what you want with like animation. You want them to be more. We were talking about that opening scene with Cyclops in the first one, and you were like, "Let's do that." You can't do that in real life.
No, you
Not
can't.
do that in live action.
Be right back.
There's no way you can make that look believable and have Cyclops basically do the moonwalk backwards using his flats. Animated, fucking amazing.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, that was 100%.
It's gonna
That
look
was 100% Marvel versus Capcom Cyclops that we've wanted to see for 25 years.
yes.
Animated. That was dope as hell.
Yeah, and I will admit, like I said, I watched this show when I was very young, so I didn't remember Cyclops being as cool as he was. My biggest impact of Cyclops was the James Marsden. So yeah, my wife, who is a huger fan of the X-Men, just way huger. She was always like, I swear to God, Cyclops is cool. And I'm like, yeah. That's just like, yeah, of course. It was like it was like she kept telling me, like, did you know Taylor Swift used to do country music? Yeah, of course she used to.
Just remember, Cyclops leads the X-Men, bagged Madeline Pryor, aka Jean Grey, and then had an affair with Emma Frost.
Yeah.
Come on. Don't tell me he's not cool.
The dude, he had another mutant power. It was bagging pussy. That was another one. He was like really good at it. He just like, I could control this one. There was no visor for that. He just was just a pussy hound.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't stop it. But yeah, no, like that was a pretty cool, impressive moment. Now, Gage Bishop, what would you say was a really cool moment for you? What was something that blew your mind seeing it on screen? Here?
Now, did we lose him again?
I think we lost him again. We were doing so fine, and he's out again. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, but right now we're running low on time, so we can definitely talk about this next part. But basically, what are some of your guys' season 2 predictions? Like, what storylines?
Sorry, I'm cutting in and out again.
Oh, you're back.
Well, I've already said what I think is going to happen in season 2 with the past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, what do you think? Where do we go?
They focus on the New Mutants, and one thing with White Queen surviving Genosha, that opens the door for Generation X, which was a big 90s comic. The White Queen had her own school with New Mutants and Generation X. So I would love to see some of those. One thing, unfortunately, they didn't. It's tricky. My favorite character in all of comics is the Scarlet Witch, who for years was Magneto's daughter.
Yes.
But was retconned as not Magneto's daughter to parallel to the MCU and not even a mutant anymore. So, but she was shown in the shadow of the boat thing. So I would love to see at least Polaris, who is Magneto's daughter, and what comes from that.
Yeah. Well, did you know why they had to retcon that for the MCU?
Because the X-Men were, yeah.
No.
It was it was all because of Days of Future Past, basically. Because that movie was coming out close to Age of Ultron. It was originally the Juggernaut was supposed to break Magneto out of the Pentagon. But then when they found out they were going to Age of Ultron was going to use Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, Fox was like, no, we want to use it. And that caused that whole kind of craziness because of the publishing versus editing. It was editors. It was really wild. But
it's weird because Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are also Avengers.
Yes.
So that's why they were able to use them.
Yeah, it was like the weirdest technicality and how they were popular.
But they were not allowed to say anything about mutants. They were not allowed to say anything about Magneto being their parents. So yeah, it was very messed up in how they had to change them to use them. Which now, after the fact, they're kind of like, oh, I wish we could have gone back and not done that.
You know what I think? Here's what I think. I think if they want to bring Magneto in, Magneto will be like, he had an affair with the mother, left. Then the father was like, don't worry, I'll help you raise the kids. That would be the greatest way just to slip it in. And you keep it all, because like even WandaVision did so much of its own quote unquote not really retconning the whole like your power doesn't come from here, it comes from here. You know what I mean? So I think they left a little bit of gray area. So if they want to jump through a few more hoops, I'll take them along for the adventure. But yeah, no. What do you guys think about? I know I was looking online. somebody brought up the idea of them doing a House of M, because I mean Scarlet Witch does show up, and we do see her flyer. Do you guys think that might be something that could be done either this season, maybe even next season?
I could see that as a season 3 thing.
Yeah.
With season 2, like we're clearly going to get Age of Apocalypse and the Cyclops and Phoenix story, and Age of Apocalypse like from the past, and then we're going to get Apocalypse stuff in the present, and it's crazy. So there's a lot piled on there, but I could easily see them doing the, hey, we're oversaturating with all the mutant characters now, so let's bring in Wanda and have her do the No More Mutants and all that, and the House of M. Like House of M would be a great animated storyline. It's one of my all-time favorite X books.
Yeah, I know that definitely would be an interesting storyline. I know another storyline that people have been hinting at was the what is it? Because they brought up Trask, they think the mutant cure thing. What do you guys think of that?
We got that in old school X-Men.
Didn't know things.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were going to try to do it again or anything like that. Like I wasn't sure if they were going to update it or anything like that. The only reason why I say that is because I know my wife, she's a huge Dark Phoenix fan, and she's been. I feel so bad for her as a fan because she got the Last Stand movie, didn't work out, and then somehow the guy who wrote The Last Stand also directed the new one, didn't work out. So my wife's just like, could they just make another animated one? Like they could just like they make an X-97, just be like it doesn't count, but she wants like she wants the like a almost kind of what they did with the Batman run. There was like 4 issues in the middle of a giant run that were like the new canon storyline that they're gonna go by for his origin, but she just wants it updated because I don't think they couldn't call them the Hellfire Club. They couldn't do it. They had to call them. What were they called in the series? They were called. They weren't called Hellfire. I don't think they were allowed to say Hellfire on TV.
I don't think so.
Yeah, hold on.
Were they the League of Shadows? Oh wait, no. Sorry.
What was it? Dark. Yeah, Phoenix. Yeah, there was like again a lot of weird rules. There was so many weird rules back in the 90s. Like there was certain things that you weren't allowed to do and say, even though they weren't that big a deal. But hold on.
I love how they're like, don't say Hellfire, but White Queen can still dress like a dominatrix, and it's fine.
Listen, it was a really weird time. All right.
Yeah.
It was a weird time.
Don't say hell on that kid's show, but she can wear the corset. That's fine.
She could do all that. Yeah, but hold on a second. What was it called? Exit animated. What was it called? Part 5. I'm trying to think. Okay. Oh no, they were called the Inner Circle Club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they could use again, like I said, could use the word hell. Like I was just, dude, the 90s had the weirdest rules for cartoons. Like I always love that.
I think that's what was the dopest thing about like hearing Cyclops say "damn it" and this. I was like, wait a minute, he just swore.
and the fact that we saw a little bit of blood.
Yeah.
We saw a lot. I mean, we saw a decent amount of blood. We saw a decent amount of blood for what animated shows were back then. But also, yeah, like I said, this show kind of came out the gate and said, "Hey, that this is a continuation, but we aged with you. We're not pulling our punches. This is what the show is." You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Let's see. So Mr. Anti-Idiotic says, "I hope we see Phantom X or Dr. Nemesis in season 2." What are your guys' thought with that?
No.
I
love Phantom X, but no.
Too soon.
He's too weird.
Yeah.
He's too weird.
You think it's too?
I love him as a character. He is great, but to explain what he is in a cartoon and him just being a supporting character, it took Grant Morrison like 4 years to finally come out with what his actual powers are.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Well,
that's his circulatory system or something like that, but it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, no, I guess that is very true. That's very true. Yeah, well, like I said, there's plenty a lot. There's a lot of other things that they can do. What other storylines do you guys see them doing? Not just, I'm not talking about season 2, but like I said, season 3 is now in production. So what do you guys think we might see in general?
Not the X-Men, but Spider-Man. I want to see a continuation of the Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah, no, I am
A lot of people were saying, "Oh, hey, look, he finally found Mary Jane," and yay! No, he didn't. That story takes place. X-Men 97 takes place before the end of Spider-Man, the animated series. It lasted like 2 or 3 years after X-Men ended. So technically, she still hasn't gone missing yet.
Yep. I definitely think this is a great opportunity to, even if they don't expand the universe where they have multiple shows, which I think they will, because if Marvel's starting the whole MCU animation kind of division, I think we might see a Spider-Man show, because I would really like to see that, because I definitely want an answer to that. Or if they don't want to expand the show, they could kind of do what DC's Legend of Tomorrow's did when they canceled Constantine's show. They're like, oh no, we'll just bring you on here, continue your storyline on the show. Just like bring Spider-Man on for a season, continue his storyline, be like, oh, we found Mary Jane, or do something to that nature. But I think right now we're going to go into, and this is outside of comic books, a huge 90s boom. I think last decade was everybody 80s nostalgia. Everybody was going crazy for the 80s. Everything was 80s, Stranger Things, all this stuff. But now I think we're about 30 years removed from the 90s. We're going to see a bunch of 90s stuff come back. I mean, heck, there was even a movie this year called Y2K. We're seeing, so I think we're going to see a kind of resurgence of that, and I'm very excited for that. So with that being said, there was a lot of great Marvel cartoons. Iron Man, when he had his mullet and he's just like in his underwear hitting away actually, I love like how in seconds in the theme song he's pouring the liquid hot metal. He's like, all right, now I got my suit. It's like, that took a while. That was they always played it like, ooh, it's happening in live moment. Like, no, that didn't. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for what they can do. But before we head out, thank you guys so much for tuning in, everybody. Like I said, the show will be on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you guys so much. Cage Bishop, we'll get you back on another time. Sorry that we were a little cut short with you.
No worries.
Get you on for something else. Darth, Wonder Dog, thank you guys so much for tuning in or joining us today, talking about X-Men. Doug, thank you for showing me your X-Men comic collection. That is massively awesome, man. Really awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, William and Mr. Anti-Idiotic, thank you. We'll tune in next week. We'll have more coming up, as well as Sundays we have on this channel the group chat with me and Matt. We have that show going. And until next time, I'm Jesse. You've been sitting at the Grown Ups table. Thank you, and have an awesome